guys, and welcome back to the Further Adventures of Hank the Cowdog, Book 2. Today we are on Chapter 10, Madame Moonshine. I climbed the ledge and stuck my head into the cave. I sniffed and checked things out. It looked suspicious to me. I'm not the kind of dog who enjoys holes. Some do, I guess, but not me. I locked into a big wooden tack box when I was a kid, and since then I've tried to avoid places that are dark and closed in. I started inside the cave, but got a creepy feeling, and I backed out. Figured I'd better study on it a little more before I did anything drastic. Junior had said something about snakes, and you know where I stand on the snake business. How did I know that Madame Moonshine could cure eye crosserosis? In fact, how did I know that Madame Moonshine even existed? All I had to go on was the word of a couple of buzzards, and in the security business, we tend to give low priority to the testimony of buzzards. I just about talked myself out of going in there when I realized I had company. I was peering inside the cave and happened to glance to my left and saw a little owl, a burrowing owl in fact, which I thought was pretty interesting coincidence. She was peering into the cave too. "What's in there?" she whispered. She had big yellow eyes, and I noticed that she had a way of rolling her head around without even moving her body. "I don't know, ma'am. I've been told that someone called Madame Moonshine hangs out in there. I don't suppose you know anything about her, do you? They say she's a witch or something." The lady's head twisted around, and she stared at me with those big eyes. "You believe in witches?" "Well, I don't know for sure. I've never met one." "I don't believe in them, and I've never met several, but I don't believe in dogs either, so there you go." How come you don't believe in dogs? I'm a dog myself." "Well, that's your opinion. Everyone has their opinion." I couldn't help laughing at that. "Yeah, but I'm head of ranch security, see? Maybe you didn't realize that. You might say that I run the ranch, so my opinion carries a little weight." "Ah, so you run this ranch?" "Yes, ma'am. Have for several years. There's very little that goes on there without my say-so." "I see. Do you make the sun rise?" Not exactly." "Do you tell the trees when to shed their leaves?" "Well, no." "Did you teach the fish to swim?" "No, ma'am." She bent down and looked at the ground. "There's an ant. Tell him to go somewhere else." I was feeling a little uncomfortable about this. "I guess I could try. Ant, scram, go on, get out of here." It didn't work. The lady gave me a puzzled look. "Now tell me again, what is it that you do?" "I'm head of, Look, ants don't listen to anybody. They just ain't smart enough. Now get this." She spread her wings and brought them together in front so that they pointed toward the ant, and she made it kind of a whistling sound. That darn fool ant stopped in his tracks, turned around, and ran away. The lady looked at me and grinned and blinked her eyes. "I'm sorry, what were you saying?" "Nothing." Then all at once, it struck me. All the clues were coming together. I figured it out. "Wait a minute. Are you Madame Moonshine?" "Oh, yes, I am. And you're Hank the Rabbit." No. I'm Hank the Cowdog." "Of course, yes, I see now. Won't you come in?" I squinted into the dark hole and gave it another sniffing. "You got any snakes in there?" "How many do you want?" "I don't want any. I'm scared of them." "Oh, rubbish. Just tell them who you are. Now come follow me." She hopped into the hole. I swallowed real hard and went in behind her. It was pretty narrow, and it was dark all of a sudden. I'd gone 5 or 6 feet when I started hearing a bunch of hissing and rattling and felt things crawling around. It was them dadgum snakes. I couldn't turn around. I couldn't back out, so I crawled forward just as fast as I could. For a while, I could hear Madame Moonshine hopping in front of me, but then all I could hear was hissing and rattling. "Ma'am?" No answer. I began to suspect that I'd made an error in judgment. I mean, icrosaurosis is pretty hard stuff, but it beats the heck out of dead doggerosis. The cave turned into the left, and up ahead I could see the chamber with a shaft of sunlight coming down. I crawled toward it as fast as I could. I was out of breath when I got there, and when I looked around, there was no sign of Madame Moonshine. I sat down and I waited, and I heard a sound off to my left. I turned and saw a huge, enormous diamondback rattlesnake slipping toward me. He was flicking his tongue out, and he had a wicked look on his face. My first instinct was to build a new door in that roof, and then I remembered what Madame Moonshine had said. I held my ground and tried to get control of the shakes. "I'm Hank the Cowdog," I said in my gruffest voice. "Head of ranch security." He kept coming. "Maybe you didn't hear me. I said I'm Hank the Cowdog, head of ranch security." That was supposed to do the trick, but it didn't. The snake built a coil at my feet and started buzzing. I thought I was finished, fellers, but just then Madame Moonshine's head popped out of a hole in the cave wall. "Back again? Oh, you've met Timothy, and my goodness, I think he's going to bite you. Didn't you tell him who you are? Timothy, shame on you. Go away, shoo. This is head of ranch security." The snake slipped away in the gloom. She came out of the hole in the wall and hopped over to the place where the sunlight hit the floor. "Now tell me why you're here." I told her the whole story about how my eyes got crossed, how Rufus whooped up on me, how Pete had suckered me out of the wilderness, and the buzzards and everything. And here is Timothy and Madame Moonshine. While I told the story, she picked up a lizard bone in her claw and chewed on it, and every now and then she would give her head a nod. "You think you can help me, madam?" She pitched the bone aside, wiped her mouth with her wing. "Maybe and maybe not. We'll have to test you. How many fingers am I holding up?" I squinted. 3? No, I'm holding no fingers. Owls have no fingers. Can you read the letters on this chart?" I squinted. "Ma'am, I can't even see the darn chart." Good, excellent. There isn't one. Now, can you tell me the color of this tree?" You can fool Hank the Cowdog once in a row or maybe twice in a row, but not 3 times in a row. There is no tree, madam. There is too a tree. This is the bottom part called the root. It is brown. Yes, you have a problem, but I just happen to have a cure. You do? I certainly do. Come over here, lie down, and hold still. I did as she said. She closed her eyes, took the end of my nose in her claw, and I watched her very carefully, memorizing every step. And what you're about to hear is the secret combination that will cure icrosaurosis. Here's what she said, word for word. "Left 2. She twisted my nose twice to the left. "Right 3. She twisted my nose 3 times to the right. "Left 1. Push." I don't expect anyone to believe this, but it by George was the truth. When she pushed my nose, my tail shot up, my mouth flew open, and my eyes went uncrossed. I told you you wouldn't believe it. I could see again. Everything was clear. Madame Moonshine stepped back and smiled. "Oh, goody, it worked. How nice. But to be sure, let's test it. How many legs do I have?" 2. Excellent. How many wings?" 2. Very good. Now just one last question. How do you expect to get out of here?" "Huh? Well, I sort of thought you might lead me out and keep the snakes down, is sort of what I thought. She shook her head. Oh dear, you missed that one. I glanced around and saw Big Timothy coiled in the middle of the escape route. What's the correct answer? She slapped her wings together. The correct answer is that you'll stay and we'll play riddles forever and ever and days and weeks and years until you solve one, and then I shall let you go. Now hold on, I've got a job to do. Rubbish! I've got responsibilities. Rubbish! I need to get back. Rubbish! And I'm gonna leave one way or Timothy! Big Tim started buzzing. On second thought, let's play riddles. Oh, good, here's one. If wishes were horses, beggars would be what? Cowboys? No! Saddles? No! I really do not get it, but I've got to get back, Madame Moonshine. She laid down and propped her head on her wing. But you can't, Hank. I'm a witch, and I can't stand for things to be simple. There must be a non-reason for everything. I can't just let you leave without a non-reason. No, you will have to answer a riddle before I can let you go. I studied Big Tim again, and he flicked out his tongue. Okay, let's hit the riddles. Here is a good one. How much wood could a woodpecker chuck if a pecker was a checkerboard square? I asked her to repeat it. How much wood could a woodpecker chuck if a checkerboard is a peckerwood's square? I said it over. Can you give me a hint? Okay, just one. The answer is not what you think. That's a big help. Well, give me a minute. I'll have to do some figuring. I had to use some algebra on this one. I mean, when you go to multiplying woodpeckers times peckerwoods and add in all the chucks and chips and checkerboards, you got to have some pretty stout math. Plain old numbers don't work. I figured and I wrote all the formulas in the dust and scratched out one or two and added some numbers here and there and the formula there and finally came up with the answer. Madame Moonshine was wearing a peculiar smile on her face. Okay, here we go. The answer is 5.03. The bottom fell out of her smile. I don't believe it. She sat up and stared at me. No one has ever solved that riddle before. How did you do it? Well, ma'am, all I can say is that they didn't make me head of ranch security for nothing. I have certain talents, I guess. That, she said in a low voice, is a monstrous understatement. You would very well be a genius. You're not the first one that said that either, ma'am. I can imagine not. She closed her eyes, clasped her wings together. Oh dear, I shall have to let you go. Timothy, open! The snake crawled over to the corner. Madame Moonshine sighed and led the way. On the way out, I could hear them snakes crawling around, and I was mighty glad Madame was leading the way. When we reached the opening, I stepped outside. I looked around. I could see again. Well, ma'am, I want to thank you for everything you've done on this ranch. A tremendous favor, and you'll never forget it. Bye now. I trotted down the hill. Oh, Hank, she called. I stopped and turned to look back at her. Do you believe in witches now? I had to chuckle at that. Yes, ma'am, I reckon I do. And do you believe in dogs now? She thought for a second and said, no. And with that, she was gone. Instead of going back to the ranch, I headed down to the creek. I had a little errand to take care of on the next ranch. And next time, we will read chapter 11, War. Bye.